piece of empty canvas, untouched sheets of clay were laid spread out before me as her body once did. Oh, all five horizons revolved around her soul as the earth to the sun. Now the air I tasted and breathed has taken a turn. And all I taught her was everything. I know she gave me all that she wore, and now my bitter hands chafe beneath the clouds of what was everything. All the pictures had all been washed in black, tattooed everything. I take a walk outside, I'm surrounded by some kids at play. I can feel their laughter, so why do I sing? Ooh, and twisted thoughts that spin round my head. I'm spinning, oh, I'm spinning. How quick the sun can drop away. Now my bitter hands cradle broken glass of what was everything. All the pictures have all been washed in black, tattooed everything. All the love gone bad, turned my world to black, tattooed all I see, all that I am, all I'll be. Yeah. I know someday you'll have a beautiful life. I know you'll be the sun in somebody else's sky. Why can it be? Can it be mine?
Warning: this podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned. What the fuck? Oh yeah, because I'm not usually on this one. I'm usually on this one. There we go. Is it working? Is it working? I think it's working. It looks like it's working. We could be. I think it appears we may indeed be live. Live, ladies and gentlemen, here on the I'm No Joe YouTube channel for the latest episode of the Joe Liminaries, the show where we have moved the news and recent events segment to its own little thing so that the news and recent events can be its own new news show. That's right, it's tongue twisty as all get out, but you know how we do around here. So, let's dive right into it. So before we jump ironically into the new news and recent events, I do want to take just a minute to give a quick little recap. Life has been crazy this week. We did not get to do a What Did I Say show this weekend, so I do want to take just a moment to talk about that fucking poor little show that came out from the UFC last weekend, their debut back to the Apex, and man, the only thing that comes to mind is the word shit show. That fucking show, literally they are saying now by the numbers, might have been the most cursed or doomed, however you want to phrase it, show in UFC history. Within 24 hours of the event itself, they lost 5 fights, 2 of them on fight night. So, let's break this down. Eric Spicely missed weight due to being on new antidepressants for the depression he suffered from the concussion he got in the Deron Win fight last year. Had a rough weight cut. First time he's had to cut weight on these antidepressants. Did not go well. The UFC cut him after he missed weight for that. So, that's a whole fucking weird thing. Not that he was a top name or anything like that, but I think in this particular situation where a guy is having issues with a weight cut due to an injury he received in his previous fight, maybe give the guy one more fight to see if he still has it or if he's completely fallen off, considering that the reason he had issues getting to this fight was because of the last fight he did for you. So, again, this is one of those instances where we see the UFC really does not give 2 fucks about their fighters. If you're not doing anything for me now, I'm not going to keep you around to do anything for me in the future. And Dana immediately blamed it on the matchmakers, but we all know that's bullshit, and Dana's got as much to play in those decisions as anyone else. So, that's fucked up. Moving on from there, though. Relatively short notice, Ray Borg had to pull out of his fight with Nathan Manis. Still, as of right now, undisclosed reasons why he pulled out of the fight. They even asked Dana about it after the event, and Dana said he still has not heard from them as of Tuesday of this week when Dana did his other press conference after the Contender Series event. He still said he has not heard from Ray Borg, but in this situation, dealing with the things that Ray Borg has been dealing with as it pertains to his child, no news is generally good news, so they're assuming everything is at least good, if not terrible right now. So, thoughts still going out to Ray Borg, but that fight got dropped last minute. They did end up finding a replacement. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But after that, Ed Herman versus Gerald Meerschaert. Last minute, fight gets called off because Gerald Meerschaert tests positive for the Backstreet Boys. Obviously, Ed Herman was angry, didn't get to fight, but Dana confirmed that everyone who had a fight canceled still got their fight money. They just didn't get their show or win money, so there is that. Then we get into the actual event itself. Among all of the other things that happened during this event, it became affectionately known as Nutshot Island. For very good fucking reason. I mean, it's not a good reason per se, but the moniker fits appropriately, I think is the best description. The first 3 fights had 5 nut shots. 5 in the first 3 fights. 2 of those in the first 3 fights were given to Mr. Nate Maness, making his UFC debut, supposed to be against Borg, but late notice replacement, obviously. But he took 2 of those 5 nut shots in the first 3 fights. You gotta feel fucking bad for him. Still put on a pretty goddamn good fucking show. Still put on a pretty good outing. I definitely see why the UFC picked him up. Nut shots aside, kid's definitely going to have a pretty bright future, I think. So then we get into the 4th fight, and the total goes up to 9 nut shots for the prelims. Because at this point we've gone from 7 prelim fights to 4, and all 4 of them had nut shots for a total of 9 nut shots in 4 fights. Not that, prelim fights are immune to nut shots or anything like that, but just excuse me. Okay. Yeah, no. It was bad news bears all the way across the fucking board for nut shots as far as the prelims go. Every single fight, multiple nut shots. Obviously, none of them were intentional. You don't really generally do that intentionally, at least not in 2020, because it's pretty fucking obvious and you get called for it. But, moving along. We didn't talk about it, ironically, on the show, and Fresh even kind of joked and alluded to if we were going to talk about it, and I specifically said no because there wasn't really going to be anything to talk about, referencing Frankie Sands' glass chin. Frankie Sands is known for having a very, very weak chin down in the little guy's division. Martinez knew that, and rather than going after it, picking the low-hanging fruit, as it were, he broke Frankie Sands' body apart. He hit him with some beautiful body shots and then kicked him to the body just brutally and beautifully. Just tore him the fuck apart. Great fight for Mr. Martinez. Frankie Sands needs to hang it the fuck up. That dude's not getting any better, and as we have said, once the chin goes, it is gone. And now apparently his chin and his fucking body strike defense have both left the building. There's not much left to keep you around as a fighter. Time to go. Pick a new profession. So, take a drink here real quick. At this point, we're getting ready for the walkouts for the main event to start. Main card. Everything, even strange as it is, seems to be rolling okay. And then as the walkouts were beginning to get ready to start for Kevin Holland, they cut to a commercial, which the UFC doesn't generally do. We were all kind of like, wait, is there a programming glitch? What the fuck is going on? Well, 5 minutes or so go by, a long commercial break. They come back and they're kind of rolling that B-roll camera angle across the empty apex, and everybody's kind of mumbling real low, wondering what the fuck is going on. The on-screen graphics come up. It's Lando Venata versus Bobby Green. And they just go with it. They're rolling with it. That's how we're going. That fight was kind of a shit show unto itself. Bobby Green spent the entire fight headhunting, much like Jiri Prochaska did a couple weeks ago. Hands at his waist, chin out in the air, looking like an asshole headhunter, and never could land the big shot. Landed a couple decent shots, but never landed the big shot he was hunting for. Meanwhile, Lando Venata was 1-2ing and countering the dog shit out of him. Pieced him the fuck up. Wore more damage for it because the shots that Green landed were bigger, but looked much better in the fight. Was more mobile. did more work, landed more strikes, period. But the judges, for whatever fucking reason, excuse me, gave that fight to Bobby Green, which I don't understand, because then he went right to the press conference and bragged and talked all kinds of shit, which he wasn't warranted to do. So anyone who didn't see that fight, please go back, watch that fight again with no commentary, and tell me how in the actual fuck anyone, let alone someone who was sitting cage side and had eyes directly on the fight from less than 50 feet away, saw that for Bobby Green 30-26, and the other two agreed at 30-27, making it a 10-9, 10-9, 10-9 fight for Bobby Green. Bobby Green got taken down. He got wobbled. At no point were all of those rounds clearly Bobby Green, let alone someone had it 10-9, 10-9, 10-8. Fuck you. Fuck you. That's not even wrong. That's insulting. Unfucking believable that we not only got to watch a fight that we didn't need a rematch of, but that the guy who legitimately did the work, changed his style, came in, landed more strikes, was more elusive, did what should have been needed to win that fight, didn't get the fucking decision. And worse than that, the judges didn't only see it wrong, one of them saw it insultingly wrong. So we're getting to a point now where something has to fucking be done. There has to be some way to hold the fucking judges accountable. And if the athletic commissions aren't going to do it, we're going to have to find a way to get some new legislature put in place to allow the UFC or organizations themselves to do it. Because we're getting to a point where judging is just getting ridiculous. So that happened. After that happened, we found out why the delay and then the skip and fight happened. As they were bringing people to the staging areas before they get walked out, they bring them to a pre-area and then the walkout area, obviously. As they were bringing people to their pre-staging area, Trevin Giles passed the fuck out. Walking to the walkout, he passed smooth out in front of his corner, in front of the commission representatives, in front of the camera crew, everything. UFC doctors took a look at him. His corner obviously took a look at him. The commission representatives took a look at him. They did not say why, but they said that this was not okay. Obviously, they triaged him, ended up sending him to the hospital to get made sure, but he fainted on his way to the fight. So they called that fight on the spot. Initially, they had reported that Kevin Holland fainted. In the post-fight, we actually found out from Dana that it was Trevin Giles that fainted. Kevin Holland came out to the post-fight press conference saying that he was pissed off about the whole thing. He understands that he's still getting some money, but he wanted to fight. He wanted his fight money, blah, blah, blah. Made some kind of a weird Tyson Eat Your Children reference that didn't really land all that well, and then went on about his business. So we'll talk more about Kevin Holland in just a little bit. But that will bring us to the silent assassin. Vicente Luque came in, like we said, Randy Brown has a very, very bright future. But Vicente Luque is staking his claim in the division. And he came out looking absolutely spectacular and put one of the most beautifully placed knees into effect we have seen in a long time. Vicente Luque is very quickly climbing up to the top of this division, and it's going to be real hard to deny him anything he asked for very shortly. I don't understand how he is not top 5 now. I think he was 11 at the time this fight happened. If he is not, I remember we looked at the rankings after the fights. If he does not move to at least 6, I think we justified. We had a whole mini breakdown session. I really wish we could have got it on stream for you guys. We brought up all the records, all the rankings, and we looked at everybody versus their fights, who they've got fights booked with now, who's injured, blah, blah, blah. We broke it down. We agreed unanimously. I believe that Vicente Luque should be ranked number 6 right now, coming off of that fight. But looked absolutely spectacular. That was a great fucking performance for him. Randy Brown, not the worst performance he's put on, but he definitely needs to get back in there and work on it a little bit. So I don't like to generally be that guy that says I told you so. Generally. Sometimes I'll be that fucking guy. This is one of those times. I fucking told you so. I told you so. I told you so. I fucking told you so. Honestly, full fight camp. Full planned, beautifully executed, no problem fight camp. Joanne Calderwood doesn't stand a chance against Jennifer Maia. Least of all, on the ground. To be fair, we kind of expected Jennifer Maia to use her jiu-jitsu to negate Calderwood in some fashion and get the victory. We kind of thought it was going to be a submission. What we did not expect to see is what we actually got in that fight, and Jenny from the block showed up and threw some fucking hands. Jennifer Maia came out and outstruck Joanne Calderwood beautifully and effortlessly to start the fight. And then when it came to the ground, she very slowly and very meticulously decided that she was taking JoJo's arm home with her one way or another. And she did. She abso-fucking-lutely did. It was a beautiful performance from Jennifer Maia. Dana White confirmed that she has literally just stolen Joanne Calderwood's title shot, and now Jennifer Maia will get the next title shot, to which Jennifer Maia screamed, "I'm ready, let's do this." And Valentina said, "I see you, and I'm ready. I look forward to the match." So it is absolutely set. Jennifer Maia not only came in, did what we thought she was going to do, she did it so efficiently that Dana White, Mick Maynard, and the crew unanimously agreed to just give her JoJo's title shot. Kind of understandably. It's going to be an interesting... I think it will be a more interesting match in Jennifer Maia versus Valentina than it would have been in Joanne Calderwood versus Valentina. I still don't think Jennifer Maia beats Valentina. I think the Bullet holds that belt until she decides to move up, which will, from what things look like, probably be when Amanda retires from 135, because then Valentina has the chance to become the 25, 35, 45 champion. Amanda's the only real thing stopping her from doing that right now. And Amanda's already said she's considering retiring now that Nina's pregnant and they're about to have a baby, understandably. So, realistically speaking, if Nina and Amanda have their baby and Amanda retires, Valentina could be the first triple champion in UFC history. She clearly dominates 25. She will dominate anyone that is not named Amanda in 35. And there's only 6 women in 45. Most of them are 35-pounders. And Valentina could beat the shit out of all of them, I'm confident. So we definitely have to keep an eye out to see how that shakes loose. But that brings us to the main event itself. I told you so. Brunson's experience just helped him walk that kid down. He was too much for Shabazian from the start of that fight till the end of it. Realistically speaking, he should have should have been stopped at the end of the first round when Derek ended it by dropping elbows from hell on his face in the corner. That being said, Brunson is quote-unquote back in the picture, as they say. Now, once the fights are over and we're strictly into the post-fight press conference, we come to find out that after getting her arm fucking brutalized, Joanne Calderwood actually fainted backstage and was taken to the emergency room along with Trevin Giles, who had fainted backstage. Still no official confirmation on what caused it. Just a fucking weird night all in all. Bonuses were given out, of course. Fight of the night was Lando Venata versus Bobby Green, which is a little weird to say the very least. Performance of the night, Jennifer Maya and Vicente Luque. I absolutely agree with both of those. They were the stars of the evening. So, that will bring us into the actual news and recent events here. We got a half an hour before the Cloudy Bunker kicks off over on GolfTeeVapes channel, so we will try and wrap this up and get you guys on your way so you can catch that as well. First and foremost, we have an announcement from the Bellator side of the house. August 21st, the rebooking of the original booking that got canceled due to the Backstreet Boys is now officially on. Ryan Bader will defend his lightweight 205 belt against Nemkov on the 21st. I believe they're calling it the 244, Bellator 244 card, I think. I don't remember right now. But the other big news, Ryzen has given us the official juiced up as of August 9th. Next week, Ryzen will be back with a mixed martial arts show, kickboxing, MMA, and Muay Thai. But that brings us to the news of this news and recent event segment in our new news and recent event show here. We got word initially this week that Nevada State Athletics Commission was meeting specifically to address 4 situations. For temporary suspensions being approved for extension or released until an appearance from all 4 of these athletes, as they are currently under investigation right now. Tim Elliott, Luis Pena, and Jamal Hill, all 3 have been under temporary suspensions since May for Elliott and Hill, and June for Pena, for testing positive for too high of a level of marijuana in Las Vegas, a state where marijuana is recreationally legal. They had their hearing last night and decided to approve all 3 of those suspensions until they actually have their full hearing. So all 3 of those fighters are officially suspended for weed. In a state where weed is legal. I'm not going to get back into that argument because we've talked about that several times. The one thing I will say about this meeting is that they actually did have a 4th athlete to discuss suspension about that has not really been talked about. It kind of got mentioned and then really that was it. Nothing really got made of it. Mark Barrialt. There we go. Got suspended from his fight back in June for steroids. They caught him with an Ostarine test, I believe, which is obviously a steroid and clearly on the list of you can't fucking take that. So he got his temporary suspension enforced until such a date where he actually gets to speak to the commission and have his trial as well. Wow. Okay. So, one more piece of news. Then we've got a bunch of fight announcements to run down real quick. And then we will let you wonderful folks out of here. so that you can head over to the Cloudy Bunker, catch all the shenanigans there, and we will see you tomorrow night for the regular I'm No Joe show here, 9:30 Central Time, just like normal, where we will give our full breakdown for this weekend's upcoming UFC show, event, I don't even know what they're calling it at this point, Apex Performance, how's that? We did get a confirmation that despite losing the welterweight title fight, we will see Jorge Masvidal. Actually, right now, he's actually going to be competing in about 15 minutes. He's not fighting. He is taking part in a special, how did they phrase this? A championship level exhibition match of cornhole. Tonight is the American Cornhole League World Championship Series. There is a special 21-point match that the World Cornhole Champion, which is a strange phrase to say unto itself, is going to compete against Jorge Masvidal. They apparently competed before in a radio event, and dude smoked Jorge because he's the cornhole champion, which is a strange sentence. But they are having a quote-unquote rematch in this special event. I guess, kind of. Cody Henderson, the world cornhole champion, that still sounds weird, is going to spot Jorge Masvidal 15 points in a 1-21 game. Even with a 15-point spot, Cody says it's unlikely that Jorge will even get to 21, let alone beat him. But the Vegas odds actually agree. The Vegas odds have Masvidal as a 6-1 underdog to lose, and a 9-1 odd that he will even make a point, one single point against this guy before this guy gets him by 21. So, I mean, I guess it's good that Jorge's staying active, ? I'm not really sure if this is good or bad for him, but he's doing a thing. So there's that. So that will bring us to some fight announcements, and then we can get the fuck on out of here and head over to the Cloudy Bunker. First thing we got. This weekend has a last-minute replacement. The debut of Joaquin Buckley has been put on at short notice for this weekend's card against Kevin Holland. Originally, Ed Herman was scheduled to possibly get back in and fight Holland. It looks like it just didn't quite come through. But we will see Kevin Holland welcoming Joaquin Buckley into the UFC. So we'll see how that goes. We got a pair of announcements for the October 24th card. Prospectively, and they haven't confirmed which is which yet, but they're looking for main and co-main event depending on how it works out. We'll see. The first, we said it was going to happen. They confirmed it. Robert Whittaker is fighting Jared Cannonier for the number one contender status. The winner of this fight has been guaranteed the next title shot after Paulo Costa and Israel Adesanya. So this is either Whittaker's chance to get back at the belt and rematch Izzy, or this is Cannonier getting the chance that we all kind of agree he deserves at that belt. So the other fight they have announced for that night, that will either be main or co-main, depending on how they do it, because UFC's weird like that. Alexander Volkov versus Walt Harris, which will also be a very interesting match. I kind of have to think it's going to go real bad for Volkov. He tends to have problems with big wrestlers who can punch, and that's kind of exactly what Walt Harris is. He's a bad motherfucker, but he's a big wrestler who can punch like a son of a bitch. We did also get an announcement for the October 3rd card. No announcement of placement or where it's going to be on the card itself, but Tanner Boser had two names that he mentioned the last time he was out in one. Maurice Green, who he said stole a payday from him, and then Andrei Arlovsky. Well, Maurice Green apparently has something in the works right now that isn't confirmed, but he is trying to get a fight put together. So the UFC gave him Arlovsky. Andrei Arlovsky versus Tanner Boser, October 3rd. That's going to be a great fucking matchup. Tanner Boser is tearing his way through the fucking division, heading for the top real fast in pretty fucking spectacular fashion. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Then after that, we got an announcement just today for a pair of fights being added to the October 10th card after the next week after Arlovsky Boser goes down. The first one, Rodolfo Vieira, who has been out for a little bit now, gets to come back to face Marcus Perez, the gentleman who dressed up like the Joker for the weigh-ins and then lost his fight due to all the fucking craziness that has been going on. So he will be back in there October 10th against Rodolfo Vieira. Rodolfo? I don't know. The other fight that they announced for that card, very interesting matchup again. Marcin Tybura, who has been running his mouth kind of unjustifiably, is getting in there with Ben Rothwell. Marcin, I wish you the best of luck, but I have a funny feeling Rothwell is going to beat the shit out of you. But we'll talk more about that as we get a little closer to October. We did find out, confirmed about 2 hours ago, officially from the UFC anyway, that the August 15th card in just a little over a week, not this next weekend, but the following weekend after that, is going to have a last-minute fight again for this gentleman here. Vince Pichel, who has fought in the UFC several times before but has been out since last year when he injured himself beating the shit out of Roosevelt Roberts, will take on, in his comeback fight to the UFC, one Jim Miller, who just also quickly dispatched Roosevelt Roberts, his last out, for some motherfucking well-earned bonus money. Both of these gentlemen's last victory are beating the shit out of Roosevelt Roberts, which is kind of interesting because I like Roosevelt Roberts and I think he's got a very bright future, but he has now dropped a couple. And they're matching up the last two dudes to have beat him in their next fight, almost like they should be doing. So we'll see how that one plays out. After that, the last that I've got for you here, they gave us a pair of announcements for the September 5th UFC card coming out. These as well, no placement on the cards, title, co-main, whatever, we don't know yet. We just know, as of right now, Thiago Moises, who is a little firecracker in the lightweight division, will be taking on Jylan the Tarantula Turner, who is a large man for that division, the September 5th card, which I think is going to be a very David and Goliath kind of matchup, but I think will be very interesting to see how that plays out. And then the last one that they gave us here, Brian Boom Boom Kelleher, who just got the shit beat out of him by one very emotionally unstable Cody Stamann as he came through the UFC, is now getting right back in there on that September 5th card against none other than the man with the previous most beautiful mullet in the UFC. Now we're just not sure what to fucking think about him. Ricky Simone. Ricky Simone versus Brian Kelleher at 135 pounds, I feel, is a great fucking matchup. Brian Kelleher basically has to prove that he fucking deserves all the hype that he's been giving himself lately. And Ricky Simone just has to get out of that fucking skid that he's been in. And I think that's going to be a pretty easy thing for Ricky to do. Not in general, just against Kelleher. I think his style will match up very, very well. But that is all we have for this particular episode. If I can quit kneeing my fucking desk. We are going to call that all for now. I do want to thank everyone who kept up with us live. I saw you guys out there. I apologize. My chat is not working right now. This is all craziness on the fly, getting thrown together. We'll get better. We'll fix it. We'll be better next week, hopefully. But 15 minutes from now over on the GolfTeeVapes YouTube channel. You can catch myself, GolfTeeFresh03, and a whole other slew of shit talkers having some shenanigan fun over on the Cloudy Bunker. So we are going to get the fuck out of here. Thank you everyone who was Thank you everyone who was here watching this live. Thank you everyone who catches this on a replay. I appreciate you guys, each and every one of you. If you enjoyed the show, give us a thumbs up. If I brought you some news that you just got super fucking stoked about, subscribe. We do this and much more on this channel. Every week there is something for you to enjoy. If I gave you an epiphany, if something that I said just clicked in the back of your mind and you needed to feel that click, share an episode of the show. One of the shows. We do multiple shows on the channel. Share an episode of something. We're trying to grow this damn thing. On the other side of that coin, if I'm just some dumbass who couldn't figure out how to work OBS long enough to do a fucking hour-long shit-talking show, give me a thumbs down, because I earned it, and I won't dispute it. That being said, we're going to call it all for now. So until next time, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything. Unless you really think Ghislaine Maxwell had nothing to do with Epstein other than being his friend. I'm going to quit dragging this on, and we're going to get the fuck out of here. Have a good one, folks.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening.
How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times.